Yo, what's going on everyone? In this video, I want to recap two trades that I took, my thought process behind it, why I took it, what I did right, what I did wrong. I'm also going to review some trades that we took so far this week in my Discord community, break down what I think is the market's transitioning to a different context right now. I want to go over some psychology tips and some good technical setups slash tweaks that we can implement to better prepare ourselves for future trades. So it's going to be loaded with a lot of different and valuable information. Be sure to stick around. If you want a very good trading resource, I'm going to link my Instagram in the description below. At InvestTrade, I post daily trading recaps on here, along with very good trading tips and tricks you're not going to really find anywhere else. Link is in the description below. You're definitely missing out if you aren't following it. But now, let's get right into the video. First trade I took and want to go over on Tuesday is Apple. Now, this was from the pre-market plan. I post these every single day in the Discord of the levels I'm watching and potential setups I'm seeing unfold as the market does open up. Now, this was on watch yesterday above the $150 all-time high. We were watching for a breakout a little bit prior to that if we sliced through supply. So we got a very strong red flag in the market. So this is from yesterday's action on Monday. This broke above the 150 area, very strong euphoric volume, indicating very trapped retail up here near the highs. It's an all-time high, so it's a major trap for retail to get long and smart money to be selling to them, providing liquidity. And it was confirmed by this responsiveness. So because we broke out above 150 and we had a major red flag, meaning sellers were responding to higher prices, they did not agree with the market moving this high. We had a very aggressive sell-off. And that is a major red flag. When the market waves a red flag, we have to wave our white one and walk away and do something different other than trading this, especially to the long side. Maybe it's flip and do the opposite. So this 150 was a false breakout, responsive sellers over here. But what made it interesting was if you were to look at the market's action on Monday, we're going to go over this later on in the video. We did a major V-shaped recovery, and the same responsive sellers over here that took the market about $4 lower got wiped out by end of day when we moved up, and we created demand around 149.50 from this area here. Now going today into the pre-market plan, for Tuesday, we are watching this to the long side for buyers to hold any pullback above 149.41. I'll be looking to play calls. We also had demand a little lower, but this area was very key for us to hold at the 149.50, which also lined up with this area I wanted us to hold above from yesterday's action. Now, this was my first trade. I'll show you the first 3 minutes. It looked like this. We were selling off into demand. And if we were to go into the NQ chart, NQ was also selling off into demand. So InvestTrade members know this. I made a video about this, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, about when the market aligns with our equity analysis. That's when we're going to get the highest quality of setups. If I pull up this Google Doc, it's very important for you to understand this. To adapt to the market's current context. What we're seeing in the market right now is slowly transitioning. We have to react to the newest story that the market's reading us. I say this all the time. The market's the storyteller, and we're the readers. We have to pick up on the context clues and adapt and react to the new things and trade differently or trade accordingly to the current story. It's always flipping to new chapters, and we have to recognize the transition from balance to imbalance to balance to momentum, to volatility, to volume. We have to recognize these conditions or else you will struggle. Now, I also did the webinar on Sunday, which I talked about very key things that we have to focus on this week. If the market's balanced, we're going to trade with smaller size. We're very selective on our trades. We're playing defense over offense, conservative, and the biggest one is taking profits fast. We haven't seen the best follow through. It's kind of like a theme of a chapter in the book. Follow through to the long side has been lacking, which is not a very good sign, not a very good bullish sign to the market. So myself, and InvestTrade members, we're currently adapting and reacting to the new conditions and slowly starting to get comfortable with the current theme of the market. So NQ bounced off demand, which is known. Apple was also coming into demand, but I did not get my confirmation signal at this point. I wanted to see us get back above 150, reclaim that area, and it wasn't until 9:34 where the candles looked like this. I got long the 150 calls at $1.60. Now at this point, NQ was coming back up to assault high a day after bouncing off this 14972 demand zone, which was mentioned in the pre-market plan as well. So we got market confirmation, equity confirmation, bounced off demand, held our 149.41 area, reclaimed 150. The odds were in my favor for this trade, and I took it. When my signals align and my confirmation hits, I don't hesitate. I just enter. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The market then consolidated above 150 in the next candle, slowly got that quick push up. Another nice candle up. I wanted 151, but I got out my full position at 938. It looked like this. As soon as the market started slowing down and slowly losing its momentum, just to protect myself, I got out my full position because there were trades last week where I never got that follow through to my final target. And I either took a smaller win than what I had or a small loss because we didn't get clean follow through. So I am protecting myself as best as I can in this market. So I took full position at $2 for a quick 25% gain in 4 minutes. Very good trade. It's a nail and bail type of environment. You take your profits fast, you get your confirmation signals, and you respect your risk, especially that we have to adapt and understand the transition that the market is currently going in. Now, the next trade was on the NASDAQ. You all know I trade QQQ options off of this chart. Let's go to Monday's action just to get a feel of what happened on Tuesday. So Monday, we did reject this supply zone and we had that nasty sell-off to the downside. We did have a bunch of demand zones, for example, in these areas that got completely destroyed because of very heavy volume and very aggressive selling pressure to the downside. So it's safe to say yesterday, sellers were factored in not only supply, but also on the move down, and they were aggressively hitting the market. And I think we came into our 4th or 5th demand zone where we started consolidating sideways. And I like to see this consolidation action because if we get intention or effort from buyers to bring us higher, this is going to form an imbalance that we want to see hold the next time we test it. So we got that crazy V-shaped recovery yesterday. We bounced out of demand. I personally, and I don't think anybody else, knew the extent that we were going to see almost wipe out all of those gains and then some. So very crazy V-shaped recovery, some heavy volume. All I have to say is it's a beautiful thing to start seeing volume come into the market with volatility and some crazy price swings, because this is when not only myself, but members will start capitalizing once we get volume, especially when trading options, stocks, or futures, when we get volume, because it brings emotions and emotions bring crazy price swings. So we got that crazy move up, came, invalidated the supply zone after that nasty sell-off, and then we formed demand around 14949. This is a key reference area for the following day's action because it's safe to say we have buyers factored in down here at the lows because they showed intention of us moving higher, and they showed somewhat of a responsiveness that they did not agree with price heading lower. This was also safe to say shorts may have covered. However, this extent of a rally and us creating new demand down here kind of leaned away from the shorts covering thesis, and it was more of just buyers being responsive. So these areas of demand were on watch today. These were included in the pre-market plan. We sold off from supply if you did short that overnight. And that NQ chart I showed you earlier, go to a 1 minute, off that Apple trade. We did get a nice bounce off of that, and it was good for about 70 points. So congrats to everybody who took this long trade. Then what I liked was I was trying to update members as best as I can in the commentary tab. Very, very important for us to hold these levels. NQ can bounce if above the 14949 demand zone. So going back to this chart, this was yesterday's rally period. And I liked how, just like yesterday's action, we came into it and we consolidated sideways and we formed somewhat of a little channelish area where we had a high, we had a low, and we couldn't break out above, we couldn't break out below. The rule of balance is you take it out of balance as long as there's not responsive participants on the other side of the market. So I said, if the indices can hold above yesterday's lows, I'll be watching to play SPY and QQQ calls. We're at demand. This is responsible from a large rally, making it a key area of demand. Stalking QQQ and SPY for a strong volume move. NQ needs to bid and hold above 15K. And we need to see a strong volatile push. So let's just go. I want to replicate my thought process We were consolidating here. It really didn't show any signs of true buying just yet. So there wasn't a confirmation signal for me to take it long until we got that quick push up. Volume started to build and we did break above this little resistance area. Now, in my opinion, this was a little bit of a forced entry. I should have waited for 15K for us to get above, but I played the 366 calls on QQQ at $1.20 at 10:14, which was this candle right here. My stop was at the lows, so I had a plan set, and I wanted to get out some of my position at this area right here, which was responsible for this drop to the downside. It also lined up with VWAP. The target for me, let's show you this. Target for me would be the 15016 supply. It's very close to VWAP. A red flag for me would be a failure to hold above 15K. So I'm in at this point, and my scalps, the trades that I enter, usually work out right away. However, this market, trading a little differently, we pulled back. My stop was the low. I have to respect it. A lot of traders, if you were in my position, would get scared from a quick, 5-minute pullback to the downside without any signs of life. But there's no reason to stress if you follow your plan and leave your emotions out of it. We just traded sideways, and then finally, about 10 minutes later, we started to see some life. We got above 15K, and my target at 15.016 finally hit, and I scaled out 90% of my position here at $1.50 for a quick 30-cent gain on the contracts. You traded 50 contracts, let's just call it. You're making $1,500 in a quick 15-minute period. So very fast gain. It was kind of stress-free if you managed to trade properly. Another mistake, which benefited me in this case, and it might not benefit me in future conditions just because of the theme of the market, is I should have got out my full position here, but I wanted to keep a runner because I knew this 149.49 demand zone from yesterday's action was going to be very key for us to hold, and I wanted those buyers to show somewhat of a impulse to the upside to validate their strength. So I really wanted more upside. It did benefit me. It could have also backfired, so I'm not too proud of this execution. But we started moving back up, got above 15K, and what I liked here was we held 15K on the pullback right into the supply zone. This is now above it, so it's invalid. And at 10:56, I got out my full position at $1.70, which looked like this. My final target was 15060, and we never got it. We stalled at it. I didn't like how the market was slowing down. Equities were not really holding up, which was another red flag to this long trade. And I got out my full position on this sell-off candle. These contracts went up, I think, 60 or 70% from the highs if I did take profits up here, but I'll never complain about how much I could have made or how much I should have made. I followed my plan, took profits when I did, and I executed without my emotions. That's the only thing that's going to matter. You're never going to sell at the bottom. You're never going to sell at the top. Another clean setup was on AMD. Now, this has been the past week or so. Every single time we come into the 105.96 demand zone, we get a clean bounce. This was last Wednesday. Some nice volume leading up into it and bounce. So we either have very strong buyers leveraging into a big position, getting ready to explode if we could hold above 106, or we could look at it as the buyers are going to be underwater if we trade it and base below it / create supply below it. But today we bounced off it. Yesterday we bounced off it. Last Wednesday we bounced off it. So very, very key level. But going back to the market, let's go to ES. So this is something that we've been seeing the past 2 days, meaning where I'm going to adapt a little bit. We have tons of demand zones from the past month, 2 months that just have been building up. And the past 2 days with the sell-offs, we've been invalidating a bunch of zones, which is healthy and which is very good for the market because obviously we're not going to have buyers at every demand zone. The market moves from imbalances to fair value to unfair value. So we're breaking below a lot of demand zones. If you go to a short-term look, for example, we did bounce off this one today. The other ones have been less reliable. Yesterday, if we go to the action on ES yesterday, this was from the pre-market plan as well. At the 4432 and 4438 zone, we bounced at it perfectly. I put this on my Instagram story as well. I know a bunch of members capitalized on SPY calls here. broke the downtrend line, bottom ticked this 4, 3, 2 and 3/4 zone, and that's when we got that incredible V-shaped reversal. But today, invalidated a bunch of zones, which is really good because it's going to clean up my chart, and it's very, very healthy for the market. Then we also have something such as NQ, pull this up over here, where yesterday, for example, we rejected supply. Like I mentioned earlier, we had a bunch of demand zones, we invalidated it. If you were to play QQQ puts at this supply zone and you wrote it to, let's just say, the first demand zone, pull this up over here, these QQQ puts, the 357 puts, just to illustrate the power of options, I mean, look at this chart. The low here was around 44 cents, and they went to a high of $3.20. That's a 700% return on the contracts in a 1 hour period. Even if you catch a quarter of that move, and getting 200% off a quick sell-off in 10 minutes is worth it, because this is what's happening when we have volatility and volume building up in the market, which brings momentum where we get these crazy price swings. So this is very good for us day traders, because I know we are going to capitalize so much on these plays, and what's happening in the market is very healthy. Today on NQ, we sold off, broke through a bunch of demand zones as well. But one thing I do want to mention is we're breaking below a bunch of demand. We are forming somewhat supply. Let's go to a blank chart. Go to a daily chart. We're forming a head and shoulders pattern near the highs. We attempted to put in supply today. Didn't really succeed in that. But we are kind of starting to transition into a different type of environment. And I'm looking forward to see what the next few weeks bring us. Just adapting to it, learning more about ourselves, learning more about the markets. Heavy volume starting to pour in. I love to see it. And it's going to be very interesting come the next couple days, couple weeks. We got Powell speaking tomorrow. Let's see what happens. There are tons of setups. You just got to be selective, take your profits fast, and focus on high quality ones. This trader, $200 in 2 minutes trading the Qs. This trader, $845, $1,000. This trader took a huge loss yesterday, averaging down, bag holding, which has to do with emotions. He journaled his trades. He kept telling himself to let the chart tell him what to do and not his emotions. And he made a good chunk back of it today. $500 profit. First day trading supply demand in the group. Some nice profit, $1,200 profit. 49% return, 73% return. So some nice profits. There are setups. Just what I recommend everyone to do is just be selective, take your profits fast, focus on quality ones, and only take trades when you can properly read the context of the market. So I think I'm going to leave you all on that note. I hope this recap helped. If it did, drop a like, subscribe to my channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. And if you truly want to learn more, check out the links in the description below. I offer a very in-depth and educational course that will come with access to the Discord and no extra cost. But besides that, I'm out. Peace.